Hello, and welcome to Battle of the Beast Insects and Arachnids Only Edition, episode number 6. This is the penultimate battle of round 1, and so far we got 5 beasts that made it through to round 2. All 5 of them have earned their right to make it through to round 2, with taking a bunch of hits, dishing a more powerful one back, and also violently killing their opponents. That one was out of my control. Yeah. So I hope that Landlord Philip is doing okay, but we're not even at the halfway point of this tournament yet. But don't worry, we're almost out there, almost at that point. So we got 2 more beasts fighting out for a spot in round 2. This is the second to last battle of round 1 before we find out which beast skipped round 1. And yeah, I would say I expect quite a fair amount from both these beasts. And yeah, one of them's going to have to die. Don't know which one though. So with that, representing Series 21, we have Tarantix the Bone Spider versus his opponent, being Makoro the Blinding Stinger. So yeah, interesting matchup. One first-time Battle of the Beast fighter, and another been in this neighborhood once or twice before. Didn't do great, but has been here before. So with that, let's go to the stats so I can learn more about these beasts. Starting with Tarantix. Tarantix the Bone Spider. Tarantix is a monstrous spider the size of a stagecoach. 6 of her legs end in a 3-toed claw, and her massive body is covered by pockmarked grain bone. A tapered point at the rear end of the beast's abdomen generates gooey spider silk, and the many eyes clustered on her vast head glitter with venomous hatred. Age 448, power 244, magic level 166, fright factor 92, size 274. Powers and abilities: web manipulation, regeneration, regenerate lost limbs, borrowing, natural armor, natural weaponry, enhanced strength. And her weaknesses is a weakness to fire. Makoro unfortunately does not have a bio to read over for this tournament, which is a bit of a shame, but don't worry. His abilities are enhanced durability, natural weaponry with his claws here, his tail here. Yep, so relatively alright. And a blinding, foul-smelling adhesive, which he could shoot out of his tail to blind his opponents and also disorientate their sense of smell as well. So, not that bad. Weaknesses is blazing hot substances. Not really sure how to really word that, but he got defeated by a water geyser, which is very hot water. He also wasn't a fan of the sunlight either. So with that, I just had to say hot substances. Yeah, that's pretty much all I had. Yeah, until that Beast Quest wiki gets updated with his actual weaknesses and stuff, that's the best I could say. So with that, let's cut back to me. Okay, so now we're back here after doing the stats, and with that, we're going to have the battlefield for Tarantix versus Makoro in a rocky terrain battlefield. So, because I know Makoro has fought in the desert, I know Tarantix has fought in the desert, but no, we're going to go with rocky terrain. So, yeah, okay, fine, we'll go with a desert with some rocks in it. Okay, we'll go with that. That's fine. Yeah, desert with rocks in. That'll be fine. No, I'll go with rocky terrain. That way I'm not giving Makoro a disadvantage because of the hot substances thing. But yeah, we'll go with a rocky terrain. But that, let's get into the fight. As both beasts exit their chambers, Makoro makes his way out quite slowly, but just stares around looking for his opponent. Staring very carefully until he sees 6 glowing red dots in another chamber. As he's about to charge, he's greeted by black goo that's shot out of there and instantly hits Makoro's chest as it wraps around him. Makoro is able to lift his arms up as the goo wraps around his body, and then is pulled forwards as Makoro's pulled forwards towards the chamber in which Tarantix emerges, lifting up his her 6 free clawed appendages, her 6 free clawed toes, let's say. Makoro sees this as all of them land directly on top of Makoro, but all bounce off from his armor. Makoro reacts by cutting free from the black web and shoots his adhesive towards Tarantix, blinding her completely and causing Tarantix's sense of smell not be that good. Tarantix, in frustration over this, is now shooting webs out wildly, trying to trap Makoro, but each one is missing, as Makoro is now being very careful to not trigger anything from from Tarantix's hearing. This is hard. Tarantix carefully makes her way out of the arena, trying to scrape as much goo off her face. Her smell is now completely gone, but she could just barely see through the goo being dragged off her. Tarantix then sees Makoro, shoots a web towards Makoro, in which Makoro dodges it and makes his charges up towards Tarantix as fast as he can, dodging any web that comes his way. He lifts up both his pincers and brings it down directly onto Tarantix's head, causing Tarantix to slam into the ground. Tarantix roars in frustration over this and, using her claws, grabs Makoro's pincers, pins it to his body, and shoots the goo-like substance wrapping the web around Makoro's arms. Makoro, still whipping his tail around violently, goes to slash at Tarantix, wrapping it around Tarantix's head, pulling Tarantix's back, trying to release her grip off of Makoro. But Makoro is trying to break free from the webs as well, whilst Tarantix is dealing with his tail. Tarantix has enough of this, grabs onto the tail around her neck, pulls it free so her head can get free, and then yanks the tail, pulling Makoro onto his back, in which Tarantix then shoots a web binding Makoro's tail to his body, and Makoro is now completely apprehended, standing. He was able to get back up as he's now completely apprehended, his pincers, his tail stuck to him. He charges up towards Tarantix, trying charge into him, refusing to give up and all. Tarantix stops him in his tracks and, using her scythe-like appendage, stabs into Makoro's eye. Makoro roars in pain as Tarantix pulls the blade out from the side of his head, causing blood to gush out from his eye. Makoro then sees from his one good eye that another appendage is coming straight for his other eye. As Tarantix brings down the scythe-like appendage, Makoro leans back, causing the scythe-like appendage to cut through the web, in which Makoro is able to break free and, using his pincers, pincers onto some of Tarantix's arms and snap them clean off. As Tarantix roars in pain, she pushes Makoro back as Makoro falls to his back, now free from the grip from all the webs. He sees that Tarantix is regrowing the bones which he just chopped off. Makoro, caught off guard by this, picks up one of Tarantix's loose arms with a scythe-like ending, brings it up and brings it down directly onto Tarantix, impaling right into her head. Tarantix, roaring in pain about this, grabs it, and the wound, not healing as quickly as any limbs, is just healing up gradually as she throws that loose arm directly towards Makoro. Makoro dodges it and whips it aside with his tail as he charges up towards Tarantix again, as Tarantix charges up towards Makoro. But Tarantix decides that she's going to play dirty. She shoots some web towards the ground, binding Makoro's legs together as Makoro falls forwards and is greeted by the towering figure of Tarantix as Tarantix impales her scythe-like appendages into the side of Makoro's head, and, using her claws, she pulls away at Makoro's armor, exposing his soft flesh. Tarantix then bites down into the soft flesh, Makoro screeching in pain about this as Tarantix pulls out the scythe-like appendages and digs them into his back, just digging an inside of Makoro's back as Makoro is trying to push Tarantix off, would knock her off, but it's not working at all. She's apprehended the tail, the pincers can't reach Tarantix. Tarantix is digging into Makoro's back, finding every internal organ there is into the flesh, and she eventually finds something that's creating a little thump thump sound, like boom boom, boom boom, boom boom sound. Tarantix grabs it, digging her claws into it, and pulls it out and chucks it in front of Makoro's face. Makoro, as one good eye, sees that his heart has just been torn out as he's now rapidly gasping for breath. And eventually, as the beating of the heart is stopping, Makoro can feel his life slipping away. Tarantix decides that it's only fair that Makoro should go before his heart does. So Tarantix lifts up her scythe-like appendage, stabs it into Makoro's mouth, and folds it upwards and pulls it out of his mouth, splitting his entire mouth open as Makoro just lets out a rapid gasp release of air and collapses to the ground. Tarantix roars in victory and scuttles her way back to her chamber, ready for round 2. So that Tarantix has won, Makoro's lost. You think Makoro should have won? Please comment below. You think that? However, my worst final and Tarantix moving on to the next round. Now, both of these pieces have enhanced durability, so they can take a hit. However, Tarantix doesn't have any armor that could be pulled off by Makoro. And even if Makoro could do that, it's going to be unlikely with how big his pincers are. But the foul-smelling adhesive helps, but as it doesn't really do any damage, Tarantix can just rub it off and can now see. Not to mention, Tarantix just has more limbs which can regrow as well. I did have some creative liberty with the web, what Makoro does with a loose limb and all that. I thought I had some creative liberty. I do. However, ultimately when it came down to it, Tarantix simply outmatched Makoro due to the amount of limbs and how much quicker Tarantix is over Makoro, which was Makoro's downfall. So yeah, it's not like Makoro didn't stand a chance, it's that Tarantix was just better. So yeah, I would say this was a good fight. Unfortunately, Makoro was kind of treated like a ragdoll here, but he had a very gruesome death, might I add. But so did all of them this tournament. Jesus Christ, these insects. God, I can only imagine what the next battle will bring. So with that, that's all for this time. If you like what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe, press the notification bell down the corner below, and I'll see you next time.